Hi everyone, this is Harden of Harden's Manga, here to tell you about Tsumeki Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life, Volume 1. Our cover shows the two lead characters in Yutaka, Shinso, the boy in the background, and Tsumeki Ogami waving back at us. This art feels really flashy, with cooler colors, plus the big shoes remind me of Kingdom Hearts characters. Our leading lady, Sumeki, is introduced in the first page as a non human myth folk character, and in this volume, we all will be entertained with her antics for 7 amazing chapters. Yutaka Shinso, our little background character, takes a highlight in this opening chapter for us as the audience as a normal human in Keiki Private High School. He is drawn with a plain design, but honestly, it makes him a unique canvas in a school dominated by uniqueness. He states fairly early on that he is here without a purpose, but Sumeki won't let that last very long. As soon as Sumeki is introduced, she comes in with a bang or a creak as she's breaking her locker so her shoes will fit in. Remember those big Sora like shoes? Well, it wasn't just a design choice, as she is a werewolf myth folk with sharp claws and toenails along with a tail and poofy ears. She comes off as spunky in the initial pages, and the art around her is tight and a little silly. The first chapter continues on showing us that Sumeki is popular with her classmates, along with us as readers now knowing she's one of the class beauties. But that spunk isn't lost throughout the pages, as she shows off her claws to her classmates, as her socks don't last very long, causing Yutaka to laugh at her. This is done through large character pieces that jump out of their panels, and small little chibi art, which is always very cute. Yutaka's laugh further sparks the interest between the two leading characters, causing them to talk about shopping, and how Sumeki kinda goes against the grain of how myth folk friendly the school is. Like, she chooses to wear a fastener over a miniskirt because she likes it better. So be ready for a strong willed leading lady, everyone, because this girl takes charge a ton in this volume. Even when being questioned, we understand that she is a okay with everything except seeing the full moon. No spoilers on what she does, but trust me, it'll feel like a nice summer breeze reading through the first half of this first chapter. Eventually, we get introduced to our next character, named in Moritaka Senga, the vampire. This is about the point where the first chapter is setting up to fully hook us as readers. Our pretty vampire friend gets brushed aside, and Sumeki comes back to the class covered in dirt, with only Yutaka left in the classroom. Ultimately, Yutaka asks how he can be more like her, and Sumeki gets Yutaka to agree to soul search and find his needed answer together. Which, of course, leads to one thing you'll learn to love about Sumeki, and that she charges into things, like charging with Yutaka out the window in a beautiful double panel. With some small other antics, we end the first chapter with good vibes all in the air. The second chapter opens up with Sumeki inviting Yutaka over to her house. And let's just say the werewolf fans of the class are in a questioning mood about it. Some of the girls get the feeling that Yutaka is more than a friend in a really wholesome way by thrashing an arcade machine. Sumeki reminds us that he is just a friend. Honestly, this little bit is a cool note in the volume because the traits of a werewolf are really starting to show. Like the jump in chapter 1 and the show of strength here mean that hopefully all future characters will be treated with the same respect. Now, back to the story, we get to turn the page and see Sumeki in street clothes. And wow, the mangaka is flexing with how cute they can make the clothes. We eventually get to see Sumeki's home, and it's cool that a more wolf like guy is guarding the whole entrance. Plus, the way it opens up, you can feel the enclave kind of vibe the author is going for here. But honestly, the best part is realizing the Ogami household is exactly how the character acts. Like, dog, cuteness overload, with all the little knickknacks laying around. Another big appeal to this chapter is the introduction of Sumeki's younger siblings in Natsuki, Itsuki, and Kizuki. Then all the little siblings begin to show their power and how good they are at things, which honestly is a very childish thing to do, But Sumeki not only doesn't let it get to her, she kind of joins in, causing Yutaka to try and also scale walls a human has no right doing. Though these little points are really cute, the big point of this chapter centers around acceptance. Itsuki, the younger sister, brings up that a lot of werewolves around them are afraid to go out into the human world, and Sumeki is the exception because she looks very human like. Chapter 3 centers around lunch and our vampire friend Moritaka. Sumeki finds out that Yutaka has a special spot to eat during lunch and asks to be shown it. Plus, we get to see that the school accommodates the myth folks because some don't like to be gawked at while eating, which makes sense. Also, to note, the walk up for Sumeki to Yutaka, the author does a cool thing in showing Sumeki with little flowers around her. I just think that it's cool to show characters with emotion without having to do like smiling facial features. Now, though, we have Yutaka taking Sumeki around the back of the school and running into Moritaka, getting slapped over trying to get some lunch. Moritaka gets caught on the phone, and we get to see that he's pretty knowing of how being a vampire is and that he wants to eat like everyone else. Yutaka is kind of hesitant to go over to a spot now and eat, but Sumeki, she treats it like anything else in the world. Goes over to the spot and even offers up her own blood to Moritaka. The Yutaka filter over this event is pretty funny, but the way Moritaka looks at him after he gets pulled off of her is pretty rough. And the way the author draws his lines immediately after feels really powerful. Moritaka makes a comment about him being upset and that he's just a human and walks off with another girl, but our two kind of just go off and finish lunch. Chapter 4 is Sumeki going to a theme park, and Moritaka is in the group for it, along with Michi Sugami, a new human character, and Sui Koto, an invisible human, and obviously Yutaka's there. Michi rocks a bob and is a little skittish. Sui is in a hoodie and feels pretty much down to just vibe. Sumeki is really hardcore about this trip and has an itinerary on what to do and a galaxy churro to eat. Throughout this segment, we get to see the mangaka flex their art skills with well done little close ups and even a sweet little cat drawing of what it'll be like on the rides. Overall, just coasting through what everyone wishes a day at the theme park could be like. Eventually, we get to a scene where Moritaka leaves the group, kind of dropping that he's only with them so he doesn't get hit on. He's a vampire, so it makes sense. Then we get treated to an amazing panel and Sumeki finding out the cat mascot of the theme park isn't real. Like, this is top tier comedy. Afterwards, everyone is treated to some close scenes between Sumeki and Yutaka, including finding out how much work Sumeki put behind this trip, as it's her first time in an amusement park, and wants to make the most of it. Through this, we get to see a close up Sumeki panel and her map all tattered up, and Yutaka grabbing her sleeve. Top tier cute stuff going on right now. Eventually, 1600 rolls around when the group is to meet up for the final ride, only to run into Moritaka crying, saying he's going home. Chapter 5 starts on the same note of Moritaka wanting to go home. Sumeki is clearly confused, and Yutaka is trying to help the situation to get to know what happened. Moritaka got sold out by his fake friends to get a girl's number and is upset about it. Sumeki makes the statement that they're friends and we all get to enjoy Sumeki showing Moritaka that friendship can be had for a vampire. Not everyone is going to fall in love with him, obviously. All the while, Yutaka is kind of in the backdrop of most of the panels of this chapter, kind of fidgety, as the situation starts off not in the greatest place. But eventually, we get to see Yutaka even form a friendship with our little vampire, as he is apparently dense in romance. It's a fun segment, and seeing Moritaka light up is so great. The mangaka really shines when they get to show happy settings like the ending of this chapter. Chapter 6 is centered around sports and an extremely happy Tsumeki, ready to play some baseball. Sugumi also makes a more dominant appearance in this chapter, as being another human we get to enjoy a fresh perspective from Yutaka. She's really into mythfolk, and we get to see some of the notes she's dropped on the mythfolk she's met so far in one of the panels of this chapter. When we get back to Sameki, though, we see her getting hit out in an all out mythfolk baseball match. Sameki comes to where Yutaka and Sugumi are to talk strategy and to ease Sugumi's curious mind. Sugumi throughout the chapter kind of doubts the fact the mythfolk like to be watched, but Sameki really doesn't mind. The chapter wraps up with a strategy meeting for how Sumeki can get a home run, and we are ready for the final chapter of this awesome Volume 1. Chapter 7 jumps right into the action of the baseball game, and we get to see Sumeki up to bat after Yutaka and Sugumi have a moment of self doubt over their respective plan for the team to win. Sumeki hits the ball vertically, and it's a very fun panel as onlookers ask if the hit is even allowed. Sumeki lands an infield home run, and the panels are large for this chapter and really pop. Not a ton of dialogue boxes are needed because the character's actions of Sumeki make it shine. She gets her home run off of a growing claw. Yutaka notices at the end of the chapter Sumeki about to scratch her face, and he stops her. And an embarrassed Sumeki is how we get to end this volume. Tsumiki Ogami's not so ordinary life is a wonderful adventure for those looking to enjoy a slow but fun manga. The art of the characters is what you're primarily going to be there for. But don't sleep on the fact the mangaka is great at giving background details when needed for the bigger scenes in each chapter. If I had to compare it to past manga, I'd compare it to Komi Can't Communicate, as both excel in telling an ordinary story with extraordinary details. Overall, a complete blast to read. While it's not action packed like some other manga, I feel that's okay because this story will resonate with those who want to read something happy. Thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Harden of Harden's Manga. And remember, manga is for everyone.